So today we're going to be talking about voicing triads up the guitar on the top 4 strings only. The reason this is going to be important is if you find yourself playing in bands with other guitarists, keyboard players, or just to expand your ability to accompany, this is a concept that's going to help you out. So we've got these 4 voicings that are going to move all the way up the neck. They're all going to be different shapes, but they're all going to be C chords. The first one we're dealing with, it's like you take your old cowboy C and you're just dropping the bass note. So it's the same notes on the top. So that's going to be 2nd fret, open string, 1st string, open string. The root note is going to be on the 2nd string. Next shape is coming from basically a major bar chord built off the 5th string. And that's going to be here, 5th fret, 5th fret, 5th fret, 3rd fret. And the root's going to be on the 3rd string. Next shape is going to be up at the 8th fret. It's coming out of your 6th string E-shape bar chord. The root is going to be on the 4th string or the 1st string, depending on how you look at it. And then finally, we're going to take the very first shape that we had down here, and we're just going to add 12 frets to it and do it an octave higher. So that's 14, 12, 13, 12. I'm sure all of you have heard or been subjected to chord progressions such as this. And let's say in your band, somebody's already covering those voicings. Let's say you've got an acoustic player, and you know if you're holding down there the same chords they are, it's just not gonna, you're gonna get in the way of each other. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take the voicings that we just talked about, and I'm gonna voice those chord shapes through that entire progression in time, just the same way that you would have heard it in the rhythm I just played. So that's gonna sound something like this. So if you happen to not be a fan of the key of C, here's the same progression in the key of A. So it's going to be 2 bars of A, 1 bar of D, 1 bar of E. And once again, all the same voicings are going to apply. I'm going to be doing them at different spots, but yeah, I'll just kind of roll through that. Let's take a popular soul progression and try and apply some of this stuff. You've probably heard this one before. So right there, I was using the voicing that had the root on the bottom and the top. But any of those other chord shapes that we've talked about, we could totally rip through this progression using those. So let's try a higher one. I'll try the one that came out of the C chord. Or I could try the one that came out of the A shape. But stuff really gets interesting when you start trying to either voice things up or down the instrument. You don't have to use the same voicings all the time, and part of what makes this stuff interesting is seeing what's available to you in a given area. Because essentially the point of all this stuff is to not play the same stuff that you always do, is to have a little bit of freedom when you're playing progressions that are cycling. So for example, I'll kind of chill out here around the 3rd fret, and I'm just going to try and move as little as possible, not to kind of get out of a 4 or 5 fret area. So. also notice I was just kind of moving everything up the neck. Everything was always kind of rising and rising and rising. You can also bounce around with different voicings. You know, you could use more than one voicing for the same chord if you wanted to. So all this is super valuable information, and personally speaking, I've got an insane amount of use out of all this stuff. Basically, as a guitarist, you're going to be playing rhythm most of the time, and just about every style of music out there uses triads. Also, you know, if you learn more complicated harmony on the guitar, this is the skeleton of all that stuff, so it's definitely worth knowing. So even though everything that we talked about today was consists of major triads, there's also minor triads, diminished triads, augmented triads. There's a lot of different areas that you can apply this same concept to. Also, as a guitarist, you're going to be playing rhythm quite often, and this is super useful with that. And also, every style of music just about uses triads. So all this information has got good value to it. Hey, thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Arrington. See you next time.